Pregame.tv, NBA Final Four, Indiana Pacers, Miami Heat. The time to hesitate is through. No time to wallow in the mire.
Oh,
Come on, baby. Light my fire. The Heat are minus 350 to win it all.
I didn't see that coming at all. This is not pre-planned.
The main guy of the doors passed away, so we had to lead with that and some great doors.
Well said. Well said.
I remember driving along here in Riders on the Storm and lighting my fire, and I thought of the Heat. Also, I think of the Heat when we're videotaping. It's only a video one. Imagine how hot it's going to get here. It's going to be a funeral pyre if it gets that hot. Now, on this one, forget about me. Let's go to you. What's your take on this series? They're about the Heat are like a 6-1 favorite. Is that crazy numbers or justified?
Here's the thing. I think it's justified to the point that the books don't want any Heat money. And if I was the odds maker and my job's to protect my client, the bookmaker, I got to put a price out there that bettors are going to take Indiana or leave it alone. Because look what Miami has done in the playoffs. They lost one game. Look what they've done this season. They've lost 4 games at home, and they have home court advantage. So, and you look at Indiana's road record, and they have a losing road record. So home court's so huge. The Heat are the best team in the NBA. So you don't want any more exposure on the Heat. You want them, if they're going to take their chance with Indiana, go ahead and take them. But they don't want no Heat money.
Someone's coming in with the suitcase of cash, the bag of money, plopping it on there.
Oh, yeah.
They're not even going to ask for the odds. They go Heat to win it all. And
blame them.
And one thing I was thinking about this.
I laid minus 150. They win it all before the playoffs started.
That's why they got to get some action the other way. And when you think about it, people said, they said it was crazy that the Heat were favored against the field against 15 other teams. I'm like, whoa, they're not playing 15 other teams. They're playing 2 other teams because they get a bye against Milwaukee. They get a bye against the Bulls net survivors. So basically, they got to win 2 series.
That's it. You're right.
So when you look at it that way, you got the world's best bet. Now, of course, they've stayed healthy. That could have derailed them. But this was one I said, I'm sure Miami's got this great against the spread record in the playoffs. I'm ready to fire against them. They won. If you blindly bet Miami against Milwaukee, 3-1.
You made money.
You blindly bet against Chicago. Well,
you made money.
You made money. So the Bulls got 2 games, so 3-2 Miami against the spread. So now I'm thinking Miami has to be overvalued. And I'm like, don't be a Dumbo. It's like the New England
You
Patriots.
taught me that. Because here's what I was doing. When I was looking at this series, I said, wait, who's overvalued? This is a Miami team that is 10 games above 500 ATS in 2013. So you made money betting Miami. How could they be overvalued? The market hasn't even caught up yet.
They should be here. And you look at this.
You made me look at it a whole different way.
Well, you think about it like the Bulls, and like this team could become like the Bulls and win 5 championships, and we'll look back on this and we'll be like, oh my gosh, they were laying 7.5 against this crappy
Floyd Mayweather, 44-0. How's it overvalued?
And he doesn't. And the Pacers didn't even win 50 games this year, and just because they beat this crappy Knicks squad that chokes big time, suddenly they're going to contend. And the more I thought about this, and so I went ahead as far as betting, I'm going to make a case for the live wagering threat. I do think Indiana might have their spots, but I think the Heat, especially the key here is they lost that game 1 to the Bulls. That's a wake-up call, as are they got smacked around twice in Indiana during the regular season. And they were down 2-1 somehow against this
last
team
year.
They just walloped them the last 3.
3 straight games.
And they're so much better this year. And so now
With Bosch in there.
So I liked Indiana. Now I'm like, I'm almost like, oh, you're a complete fool 2 days later.
I was looking for reason to take Indiana because I said, you know what? They have size over Miami. Like they could present some problems inside with Hibbert, and they can.
And he's a monster.
Exactly.
Visually, that guy's agile now.
But here's the problem. If this series goes, 6 games, those big guys are going to take a lot of beating because Indiana doesn't have any bench. If you look at the series with the Knicks, they were plus 32, the starters, in the plus minus, and the bench was a minus 32. So you don't have anyone to fall back with. If they try to make this a physical series, you can't beat them in a 6 or 7 games. So for me, I agree with you. I like the Miami side or leave it alone.
Well, I like Miami as far as game one, but then I think
you'll get value on
back to
ATS.
Indiana, I think like this meat and potato type of team. Let's get Indiana to lose game one.
Right.
Maybe small game two bet, and then when they're down 2-0, then we come in with the game three and we get them at Pick'em, and that's
at home.
The game
they have a strong home field. There's a team that's 30-11 at home, so I mean, their home court advantage is strong. We saw that with the Knicks, too. So,
I'm going to make a case in live wagering for each one of these games that I think that this is.
What exactly would you tell them to do with live wagering?
I think this is a series where I looked at the history between these two teams, and during the regular season there were blowouts. The Pacers blew them out twice at home. Mm-hmm. Heat blew them out, won by 14 at home. I don't think that's going to happen this playoffs. I think this is really one of those series after game one that as soon as the team goes on a run, I think you're going to see the Heat win this game, win the series in 5 or 6. But I think we're going to see close games, especially down the stretch. The fact that Indiana could get a couple games in, last time when they played last year, and I think that now that we're in the Final Four, with no more Milwaukee's, no more 16-point smackdowns, I think as soon as we get a team up double digits, it's time to start to look to fire back the other side.
The other way? I like that. Indiana's played a lot of games. They've played 12 playoff games already compared to only 7 for Miami. So, I don't know. If you're going to bet the series, you want to take a shot and sprinkle a little something on Indiana. I think there's better live dogs out there than that.
You can get 21
after game one. Exactly.
Yeah, I think so. Let me go ahead and make it official with this live wagering. Live wagering in the NBA Final Four. This is going to be kind of a basic strategy, but I think it applies better in this series. Probably in the finals it'll apply as well. I'm going to go ahead and be a contrarian. I'm going to look for, I really like Miami in game one, so I'll go ahead and give that out as a free play. But instead of just giving that out, I want to make this video really apply to the entire series. I think I'm going to look for runs that teams are going to have. I think it's going to be a lot of close games after game one in this series. The teams are going to go back and forth. Whenever a team goes on a long run, other team calls a timeout, I'm going to be looking in live wagering to expect that team to come back strong, because I do think we're going to get several competitive games in the series after that game one Miami win, and I think it's an excellent way to go.
I like that. It's a good way to attack it.
Seems like, one thing, it seems to work well in totals in these playoffs, too. If you get a really high-scoring blitz.
Slowing it down.
As soon as the coach calls timeout, then they'll come back, and oftentimes the pace of the game just won't be there anymore.
It's a good way to approach it.
That's another way. And one thing, too, that you look at the clock and you always do the projection, and the great thing about that timeout is, it's almost like you get I've never seen a team fast break out of a timeout.
No.
Defense is set.
Especially in the playoffs, it seems like they're a little longer, the breaks as well.
It's almost like they run their set play and 17 seconds come off the shot clock.
Yeah.
Like it's a free 17 seconds with that timeout.
You're absolutely
right. And it never seems to be priced into the timeout. So that's
a good way to look at it.
I love live wagering. Cantor's app is real good with that.
The heat is on.
The heat is on. So stick with us. Pregame.tv. We're going to have a little rock and roll. I saw Rock of Ages this week, so I said, we'll incorporate a little music.
Heard great things about it.
I wish I could sing, but stay with us. And our next game up is going to be Chicago at Detroit. We're going to talk Bears, Lions. No, we're going to talk hockey. That means VR is going to carry the puck.
Another winner.
Stay with us and with another winner. Hopefully it doesn't go overtime.
No OT. No OT.